My name is Tux. I'm the founder and CEO of Entropy, the first ever trustless decentralized asset custodian protocol.
Yeah. Nice. I'm Jarrell James. I'm the head of growth at Entropy and part of the founding team, and just really here to bring decentralized custody to everybody and anybody.
What's the problem you're solving?
Oh boy.
So the issue with custody right now is that it's very centralized, and it needs to be decentralized. But moreover, crypto custodians are kind of more tailored for like really large institutions, billionaires, ultra high net worth people, like actual monoliths of organizations. And nothing really exists for the retail person, the average consumer, and especially for the crypto native organization like a DAO. And so Entropy is really going after custody for that specific market.
Why is decentralization so important for you?
Decentralization is super important for Entropy simply just because it's like a principles first sort of development of crypto native protocols. If you don't have like a decentralized network for a lot of this stuff, a lot of these protocol implementations just don't actually work well enough. Like the security kind of falls apart. It requires just a bunch of parties working together to do something, and so we use something called threshold signatures, which is like multi-party computation. And because of that, we want a large variety of networks and nodes and people to participate in the signing process. And so being able to have that actually leverages like a significant amount of security that gives you a significant boost over what is just like a centralized custodian such as Fireblocks or Coinbase custody, where there's like a single point of failure. Like for example, there's like in the past news, there was like I forget which company it was, but it was another crypto protocol that was working with them to construct like a DKG, and essentially like the custodian lost the keys and they lost something like $70 million or something like that. Yeah, so it's like that's just like an example of like we're gonna keep seeing this stuff happen because eventually like these organizations become so large they will fail.
And realistically, I mean, to just go back to the idea of like what is the problem that we're solving, if you really look at custody as a historical asset custodianship inside of crypto, there's a lot to be said about basically like funds wanting a lot more usability, wanting a lot more like permission spend ability, like the same as DAOs, but specifically from like the fund perspective or the institutional perspective. LPs are used to using very centralized custodian solutions like Anchorage and Coinbase custody, and it's really the LPs themselves, those that are like bullying to some extent the fund managers and those whose assets they're tied up in. And so we're kind of here to say, let's not be scared to challenge centralized custody. It's a decentralized world that we're trying to build, and it's strange that the majority of assets for huge institutions inside of crypto are using such centralized custodian solutions that end up actually costing them millions and millions of dollars if somebody at Coinbase custody or somebody at Anchorage is asleep and not able to sign the multi-sig, or it's just it takes a escrow period of 2 weeks or something like that.
There's nobody there to push the button.
There's nobody there to push the button, and so we're just here to say why not let Entropy push the button?
Exactly. And I think to add on to that too, there's so much more when you have a decentralized network. And when we say decentralization, what I imply by that is having a crypto native sort of protocol. The big benefits you get from that, specifically by building a crypto native protocol, is super awesome capital efficiency when you start a new when you start a project. Coinbase custody probably has hundreds of people working on their team, right? to do this, to do what they do. Maybe not, but Fireblocks is for sure a giant organization that is solely focused on custody, and Entropy is a team of 9 people. So it's one of the cool things where with Web3 we get capital efficiency, we save money, we save resources to build a really large product, and on top of that, we can just basically replicate a lot of parity with these features with the same, if not better, security guarantees, and actually with business models that don't try to replicate the old world, the old Web2 crypto, non-crypto native kind of stuff. Now we can implement crypto native business models that actually generate revenue for not just the owners of the protocol, e.g. the validators, but also the users of the protocol too. So it's able to incentivize everyone and align everyone in the same direction.
one last note is simply like, this is something that we can talk about on just for DAOs as well. And like we look at DAOs and it's super hot topic right now, but I think when there are these really hot ideas going around in these new organizations, people are really hesitant to critique the actual user experience of being a part of a DAO or being a signer on a multi-sig.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing is like, let's not wait a couple years for some next super cycle for people to be like, hey, what if we revolutionize how we actually manage the spend and the allocation of responsibility in a DAO or a multi-sig? What if we just like acknowledge these shortcomings now and work to improve them now?
What are some of the main challenges you're solving? And then I think I'll ask you like how the growth kind of angle plays into that. So I guess like what are some of the main problems that you're solving?
Remember to repeat the question.
Yeah, what are the main problems we're solving? I guess we could start off with like, for us, like the main problem we're solving is like interacting with blockchains is really tricky already. Like the UX is really not great in a lot of ways. I mean, like even you have like great experiences, like great wallets that have great UX, like Rainbow, for example. You know, even they're still tricky to actually integrate and actually use a lot of the time, and people aren't really clear on that. And no one's really like tried to improve what the security model is for wallets, right? And so that's where Entropy can kind of come in, and that's like a big problem that we're trying to solve is like who's going to be like, you know, like a decentralized cert authority, for example, of like the blockchain. It's something we could do. Just as an example, but like we can standardize the security the security user experience across any blockchain. So we can basically guarantee that if you try to sign a transaction and they're integrated with Entropy, then you're going to get multi-factor authentication, and maybe you can get some like really solid UX that lets us do, you know, something wild. So we're going into that with a mobile first, I think, idea. At least that's the idea at this point. And it's just going to be targeting very specific, like, you know, people who interact with the blockchain, like on an almost day-to-day, frequently kind of thing, who actually need these kinds of resources. I think also on top of that, we're trying to solve this issue with seed phrases. Seed phrases are really tricky. Nobody really likes them. I think it's like something we've all like kind of had to like get through, and like there's a weird narrative where everyone's like, yeah, you have to hold on to your seed phrase, and if not, it's the only way to actually own crypto. And it doesn't, like, sure, that works, but it doesn't work for like the next billion users, you know, that whole meme. But what I think our response to that is like trying to figure out a way to actually replace seed phrases. So if we can standardize the blockchain interaction, the security interaction between any blockchain, and sort of build like a nice standard that works, that is decentralized, and is secure, you know, then why not go after and try to actually eliminate seed phrases altogether with something novel and innovative using like social cryptography, for example. And that's kind of like I think that's one of the main problems that we're interested in solving.
Can you describe the alternative to, in a little bit more depth, to seed phrases? Potential, possible alternatives?
Social recovery.
Yeah. So like one of the alternatives to seed phrases is social recovery, right? Where it's now you take your key, split into pieces, and it's between you, some friends, maybe like partners, parents, friends, loved ones, whatever. And if you do lose your key, you can just go to them and be like, hey guys, I need a consensus or a threshold of, you know, parties to actually say, hey, it's me. Please recover my keys for me, so I can, or let me recover my keys so I can actually spend my money in case I lose it. And we kind of think that's, in all honesty, that's like where I think things are probably going to move to. But it's kind of challenging because coordinating between all these different parties, and this is what I refer to as social cryptography algorithms between people, not just machines. This is a problem that we really focus on at Entropy, is that social cryptography aspect of it. And building algorithms that are friendly to people and not just networks and machines and things like that. And that's what Entropy is trying to go after. And so building on social recovery, it's going to be like, yeah, it already exists, but it can be significantly better. And the UX can be much, much, much better. And so that's kind of where we're going next, I think.
What's the user experience like with social cryptography?
Well, I mean, as it exists already, it's the same like Shamir secret sharing kind of thing. You split up your key into separate pieces, you give them to people, and then when it comes time to recover it, you know, you go to them and you get the shares and you collect it and do the whole thing. But that's kind of it. Like there's like folks are like implementing this, and so they go through their interface to do it and everything. But we want to make it more, just friendly. Like we want to figure out a way to actually innovate on just this concept altogether, and maybe build even newer algorithms that will actually work. Like my previous work at New Cipher, I was a founding engineer at New Cipher before Entropy, and I did a lot of threshold cryptography research there, and fully homomorphic encryption research, as well as like secret sharing and things like that. And there's a lot of room for novel findings and like applications on top of this stuff. And honestly, I think everyone gets tied up in the mathematics and then putting a user experience after. So everyone does cryptography first, user experience later. We're taking the approach, and when I say social cryptography, I mean by like taking the user experience first and then trying to put cryptography in that and trying to figure out how those parties interact with each other. And that's what we want to do.
How does your work with growth contribute to this?
Well, I mean, realistically, you can have like a really awesome cryptographic protocol, but you need to get integrations, and realistically also we want to open source this stuff, right? So if you want to stay alive in a game where you're going to open source your code in the end, you need to get integrations with major wallets. You need to get like test runs with like wallets and get research on like what does this integration look like, what's the UX like for the person who's using the wallet and using the SDK integration of Entropy within something like Rainbow Wallet or MetaMask. And at the same time, we also need to like lock down a lot of validators. And Tux and I both come from threshold backgrounds, and like I was working at Keep Network, and also I've worked on a lot of protocols that have validators. And consistently, what has been like a point of pride for I think both of us in this world has been our networks and what we've worked on have actually had a high number of validators and actually achieved like near or at least close enough to decentralization within like a year to 2 years of the products launching.
Not immediately.
Yeah, not immediately, of course you can't. Like, but that's the goal. At Entropy, I mean, we are out here pounding our chest pretty hard, saying that we are like a truly decentralized custodian solution, and it'd be pretty shitty to show up and just like not actually deliver on that. Mm-hmm. So in order to achieve that actual truly decentralized nature, we need to do a lot of growth work. We need to get a culture going. There needs to be a culture behind what it means to be involved in the Entropy community. What it means to like get in our Discord is like completely different than what it means to get into somebody else's Discord. And then those people are the people who are helping us with like validator rewards and writing out what the business model plan of Entropy is going to be. One of the unique things about us is that we're raising like a decent amount of money, and we haven't actually given anybody a business plan because we're wanting to work with our community to create the business plan once this actual network, at least even the testnet, is live. And that's like a unique value proposition because you're like able to adapt to what the product actually has the potential to fully be, not just what you thought it could be early on. So you need to work with a pretty intense and intelligent community to actually work towards those goals. And at the same time, you need to actually work in a BD manner to get the integrations to provide your community with the value that you've been promising for a pretty extended period of time.
How does your Discord differ from other projects?
It's immaculate as fuck.
Immaculate vibes only.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot of people who honestly, like, I feel really feel chill that I get to like work with these people, because some of them are like folks that like built like Kusama, and like they've worked on like Substrate, and they were some of the OGs that are coming into crypto and they're working in Substrate, and they're just down to like volunteer some time. And we've even like taken our Discord and refined it down to where we have like an accomplices channel, which is just like people we know or have the chops to really like give us good valuable insight and feedback, and like they're to some extent building this alongside us, and just one, they're excited to implement it in their own projects, I think is a huge design. So a lot of the actual devs that we know are basically like, how can we help like bring it to life sooner? Because like if you give us this piece, our roadmap changes pretty drastically after that, and I think that's actually a really cool thing to hear.
To add on to this too, like he talks about our accomplices channel, and it's really like some of the smartest people in the space already. Like everybody wants decentralized custody.
Yeah.
So when we announced this, and we've been in the space for a while, so we start reaching out to people, and they join the Discord, and we're like, wow, these are like literally the smartest people in the space. Yeah. So they're all in there just hanging out and talking to us and giving us feedback and stuff. But like one of the cool things that Jarrell points out is our the lack of the business model, and what we think is really cool is that it's like, look, like the cool thing about Web3 is that you get, for example, a subsidy, and you can subsidize people, incentivize people to do things for you. In the beginning, it's just like a startup. You burn capital first, and then you build your business model, you get your moat, and you move up from there and you generate revenue. So for us, it's going to be that same process. It's going to be, we work with our community. Why would we do this all by ourselves when there's like literally an entire community of the smartest people we've ever seen and worked with? It's like, help us work with each other. We're incentivizing you to work with us. We're going to build something incredible together. You're going to be a part of it, and you're going to actually help us, create something like this. It's an open ecosystem where people can do it. I think a lot of protocols make the mistake of like coming out with this like this business revenue model that they're trying to do right at the go, and it works great, but if it doesn't work, it's kind of dead in the water. Like the community is so much entrenched in that one model that if you change away from it, people are going to be very hurt by it, or maybe even lose money because of it. So instead, it's like, look, guys, we're all in the same boat. We all got to get traction. We all want to drive revenue to this product. Let's work together on it, and treat it like an actually open Web3 ecosystem. Use our talents and the people we have in our community to actually build the product. So it's kind of the crypto native Web3 first approach that we're taking towards product.
What's next for Entropy?
Well, we have a bunch of announcements to make soon, and on top of that, we're just heads down building. It's been a wild week at ETHDenver. Just before ETHDenver, our team had an offsite in Austin, Texas. Our engineering team did, and we spent just a week just writing code, and we ended up getting what is essentially a month's worth of work done in just 1 week. Really killed it. Our engineering team is amazing. It's like some of the smartest people I've ever worked with in my life. Truly a pleasure to work with them. And
shouts out Thor and Jesse.
David, Kara, yeah, everybody. For us, what's next is really just heads down, shipping everything we can, not just just making the next news cycle to kind of keep the hype going until it launches. It's we're just kind of heads down, build. Yeah. And so for us, what's next is really just announcing what our product is and getting people to use it.
Where can people find? Go ahead, please.
Well, and also I think I'll be a little bolder and tease it harder. We'll get to announce the people that are supporting us and in what ways they are supporting us and to what extent in the next couple of weeks. And I think that's going to be a really big wake-up call for a lot of people in the space who maybe aren't thinking about custodian solutions, where they're wait a second, why would this be such a valuable idea?
Yep.
And what do these investors and what do these people who actually work with digital assets on a regular basis, what do they see in this product that maybe I'm not seeing? And I'm excited to see how those conversations go.
Where can people find Entropy in each of you?
You can reach me on Twitter. __Tux on Twitter. You can learn more about Entropy at Entropy.XYZ. And also you can reach out to us at hello@Entropy.XYZ. We'll be happy to reach out there.
You can find me on pretty much everything at TechBoyAfrica, BOI. And I think, did you plug the Entropy Twitter?
Oh yeah, Entropy Twitter is Entropy.XYZ. At Entropy.XYZ, and also our Discord,
yes,
which we have links on our website for, which is the best place to actually talk to us.
And we hope you join us, and feel free to siphon off some immaculate vibes for yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thanks.